Hello, welcome to our new channel. This is TnAmuscle. I'm Big Tom.
I'm Bigger L.
Bigger L. Earlier on today we interviewed Paul George.
Yeah, Paul George is an IFBB pro bodybuilder. He's a 6-time World Physique Federation champion. He's a 3-time lightweight EFBB British champion, 1-time middleweight EFBB champion. The same year he won the overall British title and turned pro. He then went on to place 8th in his very first British Grand Prix. When he was 49 in his very last year, he placed 12th in the British Grand Prix, and he has also placed 6th in the Battle of Giants in Norway.
Here's our interview. Check it out.
I think most people that have known me for a while or two, I'll probably read my website, will know that I got into weight training through Rugby League. That was my real passion, really, that got me into anything. So I was a really good rugby player, but I was always little, I was always light, so I started training my weight to get bigger and stronger.
Okay.
And then it just kind of migrated from there, really. My first comp was probably in 1982. I did it as a bet. At the time I was a young rebel, and I used to enjoy drinking and fighting and scuffling. And somebody said, "Why don't you ever go like that? I bet you don't do it, but you can't do it." Yeah, all that bullshit. So I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll have a go." So I think the first ever time I stepped on stage was it was Walter O'Malley's Spring Classic at Parr Hall in 1982, and I came 12th out of 10, something like that. I was rubbish. My confidence has never been lacking, but my abilities at that time were probably vertically and physically challenged, so wasn't probably the best show I ever did. So then I had 10 years out, and probably at that point I thought, yeah, no, I can do this, I just need to be better. So after 10 years, I did a small show in Queen Alsager, and then I went from there to Bradford, I think, St George's Hall, and that was probably the beginning of everything, and that was in 1991. So that's probably the catalyst of when it all started, I suppose. No, I wasn't. Condition didn't come easy. It doesn't come easy to many people, to be fair. Although at the end I was renowned for it. I think that just the fact that I'm an anorexic bodybuilder, the fact I don't eat enough to get fat means I get lean. Unfortunately, the downside of that is you can't build a house with one brick. So I never got massive. I was got conditioned, and people used to say, "Oh, do you train for symmetry? Do you train for your balance? Do you train for this?" No, I just trained everything hard, and the symmetry and the balance just came by default, really. I never had what do you like training? Oh, I like to train this, I like to train that. I just like to train everything. I think that's the secret of everything. If you can train everything well, you know. I used to not like shoulders, to be fair, but by the end, I wouldn't say I had great shoulders, but they were good enough. You know what I mean? So technically,
The shoulder's your weakest body part then?
yeah, I would suppose, only because I have, although physically they're strong,
Yeah.
they're just not big, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've got very small clavicles. I have really small joints anyway.
Yeah.
So structurally, I'm not the best. You know, if I could have packed on another 10 pound, 15 pound of muscle, I would probably have been a lot better. But unfortunately, putting on the weight was the difficult part for me.
Yeah.
And there were probably ways and means that I could have gone round that route, but it wasn't really an option for me. I was happy doing what I'm doing, and that was good enough. And I think I got far enough down the ladder to be able to say, yeah, I did all right.
So do you think your overall size maybe held you back sometimes?
For sure.
Or do you think your conditioning just took you past?
No, I think you can overlook size with condition to a certain degree, but when we did the Grand Prix in London, you know, Flex and John Hodgson and this, that and the other, all not going to take anything away from them. They all deserved the place and the positions that they got, but I don't think I was 12.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I would probably, me and Nana Manu were probably two of the lightest on the stage, but I think balance for balance, we was well in the half. We weren't that end, we weren't that far away. It just purely went on heaviest, lightest. And I think they didn't even look at our symmetry, our condition, our balance. Or if they did, then they must have seen something that I think a lot of other people didn't that saw.
Do you think that's often the case in bodybuilding though? the bigger guys tend to get the placings? Over the...
No, because I have beaten some monsters.
Yeah.
You know, 19 stone people. You know, so you know, I have competed against guys at 5, 6, 7 stone heavier than me and beaten them.
Yeah.
So no, size isn't the key, but I think if you're good and you're big, then you will get the nod. Because bodybuilding's not about average, is it?
No.
Here's a Ford Mondeo. Okay. Here's a Ferrari. You know, and that's the difference. You know.
How do you think bodybuilding's changed since the 80s to now? Or has it?
It's all out of proportion. You know, as in not proportion, as in symmetry and proportion, but it's advanced so much in. Going back to body power, so they're just going to circumnavigate massively here. But I'm chatting to Evan Santapani, and he was asking me a very similar question. He said, you know, when you were starting in the 80s and 90s, he said, what was the difference? And I said, to be fair, I think it's nutrition. Chemicals and all the rest of it have always been there. People have always wanted to do that. But I think nutrition is by far and away the biggest change. The supplementation, the way people understand how the body works now, how post-workout recovery, pre-workout, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to buy everything that's on the shelf, but a lot of the things do work, and I think the way your body takes in sugars and carbohydrates and fats, the way you can manipulate things back and forward now is massively more understood than it was 20 years ago. Yeah. And I think also there's a bigger pool of people, you know, way back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was a marginalised sport, synonymous with gays, this, that and the other, you know, all these stereotypes. And I think now you have people looking at bodybuilding that are other athletes from other sports thinking, I can make money at that. You know, I can get a contract, I can do stuff with this. And it's a lifestyle. So if you get people changing things because it's a lifestyle and they think they can make money at it, then you're going to get more people coming in. And if your gene pool or your competitive gene pool go from 3,000 to 30,000, you're going to get more big people in there. You know, so I think that's the way it changed, because it's more acceptable, there's more money pumped into it. People can see it as a better thing. As a way of training and enhancing how you look, I think it's unprecedented. No other sport will do that for you. You know, so I think it's changing for the good, but I just think that the extremes are too extreme. Yeah. But that's what sells.
How important is genetics in bodybuilding, and can you overcome bad genetics through hard work and determination?
Yes, but you'll never beat a good person with genetics and the right attitude. I mean, we've seen plenty of people with poor genetics that have worked their nuts off and been rewarded well for it. Yeah. But they're the exception.
So you're talking somebody along the lines of, off the top of my head, Phil Heath, who seems to have great genetics.
Yeah, but I don't know what his work ethic's like. I've seen some of the videos, and he doesn't seem to be the hardest trainer in the world. You know what I mean? People always come across as, oh, he could do better, he could do this. Then you look at people like Branch Warren, who probably not the greatest physique in the world, probably trains as hard, if not as hard as anybody else, but does he train smart? Probably not. That's why he always gets injured, you know. And then if you want to go back to the era before, then you had people like Rich Gaspari, who didn't have great genetics, but he trained very clever, very scientifically, and he brought his body weight up and his muscle mass up. So, you know, you have had people along the way that had poor genetics but still made it. Yeah. But if you get somebody with good genetics, good work ethic, you ain't going to win. You ain't going to beat them. You know, I like to think I'm a basketball player, but me and Michael Jordan, not going to cut it, are we? This is one of them having a couple of pints at the pub arguments. You can't take people out of the generation and look like that. Would Pele have been a better footballer than Maradona? It's, you know what, you have to accept it for it is. People always slag Arnold off, oh, he wouldn't make it in today's market, but he's not in today's market. You know what I mean? So it's too subjective. If you like Leela Brada, Mohamed Makawi, them kind of physiques, then no, there's nobody to touch them at the moment, you know. But the market's moved on, people have moved on. So it's a nice argument for a Sunday afternoon in the beer garden, but that's about as far as you're going to go with it. I haven't got I have several. So am I allowed two?
Yes, of course.
Two
Far away.
was probably, I think, 2000 when I competed for the EPF, the English Physique Federation at the WPF in Italy, and I was in a team of 22 in the World Championships when there were 22 teams, and I carried the flag. And I stood at the front of the stage and they played the national anthem. And I've never been a royalist and I've never been an English or a patriot or anything. But when they're playing the national anthem and you've got the flag and you know the 22 guys behind you and you're still on that stage and there are 200 athletes and there's a massive big auditorium of people looking at you and the hairs on the back of your neck go out, you go, fucking hell. Pardon my language. So that's a proud moment. But it's not an achievement. It's, I presume that's what you're getting at. An achievement moment is for me was another 2, winning the British Overall. Again, highly contentious odds, shall we say. Wasn't expected. I was 42. I was middleweight. You know, probably not. There was other people in that comp on that day that were touted as winning. So actually taking the overall was that. But one of the most enlightening things in bodybuilding was actually coming back from the World Championships about 2001, 2002, when I'd just done a double. I'd won the Masters and the Middleweight World Championships, and I was on the plane home, and we was in Montpellier, and we were just flying back over France and the Pyrenees and stuff like that. And I looked out and you could see all the clouds and then it kind of broke and you could see the lands and thinking, world champion. We've just flown over 3 countries and we're going to get back home. And then the whole world, because there's 200 countries, 20 out of 30 countries there. And you just think, world champion. And you know, when you realise you're in an aeroplane and you can see how big the world is, you suddenly go, oh, fuck yeah. You know? So, them are the things, them are the personal things. But they're not trophies, they can't think that you can show people. They think that you take on board and you reflect. And every now and then you just sit back and you go, yeah, I did that.